Hey, we are back. Log me in, let me check. Can I hear everyone? Let's see, can I hear? Can you hear me? Let's get the man himself in. Let's double check. Let me find him. How is everybody doing? Everyone's enjoying the bank holiday weekend. So this is commitment. This is my bank holiday weekend. We're here, but I know my guest is so committed to property that I know he's been waiting 4 p.m. just to make sure he's good to go. Hi, the guy, Cash, legend. Good to see you here. Alfred, how you doing?
Bro, listen, I was gonna banter you and be like, bro, Kaz, we might have to reschedule, bro. The weather's looking too good.
Yeah. No, I know. To be fair, this is like the definition of commitment because it's the bank holiday weekend. Everybody's, everyone's trying to enjoy good vibes, relax. But, the businessmen, the money don't sleep.
Listen, it doesn't.
I know. And I know you're very finance focused. I knew you'd be here live and direct. Can we do a little intro? I myself am Kaz or Kazi from Property by Kazi, aka the PBK. We have to have an acronym to sound extra serious right now. Thank you everybody that's in the building. Seen a few familiar faces. CEO Cost, my guy CEO of the CEO. Exactly. Ashley Inks, legend from there. Nice to see you again, my brother. Yeah, but property over weather today. We'll vibes a little bit later. Today I've got the guy Alfred. Alfred's going to confirm how I say his last name because I always say it wrong.
Jade, bro, Jade. Imagine a J. J-A-D, yeah, Jade.
Jade, yeah. Okay. It's like the Nigerian Jade. Jade.
Yes.
Okay. I feel you. So today we're going to be discussing what Alfred's actually going to be answering, hopefully, some of your questions. I've got some questions I want to put to him. So he is based in Coventry. He focuses on BRRR, which is buy, refurbish, refinance and rent out. Also working in the HMO space. So it's really focused on creating luxury, high yielding, very quite bespoke HMOs. And yeah, it's kind of what I understand about your journey, but please introduce yourself to the people a little bit more.
Yeah, no, thanks, Kaz. Obviously, thanks for bringing me on here as well. But yeah, my name's Alfred Jade. Like Kaz said, I'm based in the West Midlands. Pretty much focused on HMOs at the moment. Just trying to build a portfolio of HMOs for income, trying to set a foundation. Obviously, I aspire to do bigger things in terms of getting into developments, but I think you have to have a set foundation and have income, which allows you to then tackle the bigger projects, which take a bit longer to fruition. So that's pretty much me at the moment. That's what I'm doing. In terms of the HMOs, I'm mainly focusing on HMO for professionals. I do have some students ones as well, but mainly professionals more than students. So I've been against students.
No.
I'm just at the moment I'm finding tenants who are professionals more than I am students at the moment. So
Yeah. I hear you, bro. I hear you. There's something you touched on actually very early on, which was you kind of mentioned, like I'm doing HMOs at the moment, but I'm going to get onto bigger things. And I think sometimes as developers and as investors, we almost get lost in the journey, particularly because we want so much and we see so much grandeur that we forget to embrace how good we're actually doing already. Because I'm sure there's loads of people, even loads of people in here that would love to be in your position and that kind of achieved everything you've done. So I think sometimes we got to, smell the roses a little bit and just embrace what we've actually achieved.
literally as well. I feel like there's a lot of options out there in terms of strategies we can do, how to build your wealth. I think you have to kind of work on what works for you in terms of your game plan. What's your long-term goal, and is what you're doing actually getting you to a goal. For me, I won't start something if I know it's not even aiding or getting me closer to my journey. So I'm very, very focused. There's so, like I said, there's so many things I can get involved in, but I have a game plan. I'm trying to stick to that game plan, and that's the way I see it, pretty much.
Yeah, I think specialization at an early stage, like diversify in the long term, but you specialize and then you mentioned foundation, you build that solid foundation, whether that be a capital base, whether that be income, you have a lot more to work off.
Exactly.
So I mentioned Coventry, you said West Midlands as a whole. Is that where you're from originally?
No, Southeast London, bro.
Okay.
I don't really know this, but yeah. So my progression in terms of so I was brought up in Southeast London, and then when I went to uni, I went to Hertfordshire. So I did a master's degree, like an MEng in engineering. That's on here would know what that means. So 4-year degree And then coming out of that, so I did aerospace engineering. Coming out of that, landed a project management job at Jaguar Land Rover. And then I was kind of doing that for 5 years. I was in corporate world for 5 years. It was really good, amazing, good pay, everything. Currently, contracting job as well, so it was good. It was good pay. But I didn't kind of settle for that. I think in year one, someone asked me, what made you, at what point did you kind of start to look into property? And for me, it's like literally year one of working. Obviously, at the beginning, you're gas, you're getting a good salary, you're enjoying yourself. I was traveling. But then I kind of looked back. I was like, okay, now let's move forward. How can I make 6 figures? What's the next step? What does it look like in a corporate world? And like when you did your research, for some strange reason, I've never sat down to kind of look ahead of even get a job. Like, what does it actually mean to make 6 figures in this career? Only when I went to look for it, and I found out like you have to have years, grey hair, old, maybe jump from company to company, or maybe jump in the company diagonally to try and build up a lot quicker. But it was like, I'm not waiting, even if it's 5 years, I'm not waiting 5 years to make 6 figures. There's people that I know are making 6 figures a month, like literally. So it's like, why am I waiting that time? So, and then obviously property was a vehicle I knew could get me there, or at least help me get to another stage to allow me to get even higher, if that makes sense. So that's how I kind of, and now I'm pretty much based in the Midlands because of work. I came up.
They took you. And so just to stick with that, so you were obviously from London, moved to the Midlands. So was your job in the Midlands as well? Or was that in London?
Coventry, yeah.
Okay. So then,
Coventry,
okay, so then was it still kind of because it was where you were based, or was it where you thought you'd get the best return on investment, or was it because the amount of capital? Like, what originally made you start investing in the Midlands?
Because I know it works. Investors invest in Coventry. Don't get me wrong, Birmingham, all these other areas, but again, it was about distance, kind of how quickly can I get to these areas. Coventry's the closest one to me, so it's like, it made sense. I know it works. Prices are okay as well to get into. So I was happy with that area. I didn't look elsewhere, to be honest. It's pretty much Coventry. I just knew it worked for HMOs, and I was like, I'm deep diving into that area and understanding how the investment works within that area.
Nice. I think this question from Amin kind of leads into what you said. So with your first deal, how did you fund it? How did you complete your first deal? How much capital did you have available to get going and start your journey?
Yeah, so when I was starting out, all my deals I've done, I've leveraged other people in terms of their funds. I've never had the funds to kind of do the entire deal myself, like even deal one. The way I kind of went about raising money to start with is I started off, so I was working. Where I worked, there was quite a lot of people who had money around them, potentially in the banks and stuff. Obviously, me working there for a while, I've shown myself kind of going into courses, networking. So everybody at work knew I was in property or wanted to buy property, wanted to invest in property. But even ahead of that, I kind of said, look, I've got this idea. I need capital to do this event. And I just started borrowing money. So there wasn't nothing big, like 10, 15, 20K. Got to a point where we were raising about 50K for a freshers event in Coventry. And then at that point, it's like, okay, great, we're making lump sums of money. But it's like, now I want to kind of take that money, put it into an asset, which can give me recurring income monthly, as opposed to doing a lump sum, doing an event and getting a lump sum of money and then kind of going again and again and again. So, yeah, so when I got to that point of 50K, to be able to raise 50K, I then used that to get my property. It was an old HMO, so it was like it was a 5-bed HMO by a retiring landlord who didn't want to obviously do anything with it no more. It was through an agent, built a rapport with that person as well. But I think I bought it at 225, is what I bought it at. And then the refurb was about 88K, and that revalued at 360. In terms of income, that's bringing in about, I think, 1,005 net a month. So gross income is 3,400 on that one. And then minus all your things. I always say like 40%, 35-40% is where your kind of net profit is, even after storing money for maintenance. If you want to keep all that stuff and use all
what do you budget for maintenance monthly? Do you have like a percentage?
Yeah. So it's about 15%.
15%. Well, that's high. I only budget about 7%.
Yeah. So I it's just so then let me put it into context. Yeah. I budget 15 based on my numbers. On the spreadsheet, but in reality, that's what I'm saying. In reality, like the money that that's net to me. It's actually higher than the 40%. But
Yeah, because you work on like a prudent numbers, which I think is always a really good thing to do in the property space, because whether it's your income from your rent roll, whether it's your development costs, there's always a lot of what if factors. So obviously, I mean, COVID is crazy. Nobody would have predicted COVID, but even just, I don't know, them building loads of flats locally and demand dipping slightly for something, or different things having slightly higher voids, or just having tenants that don't get on for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So I think, it's important to have like a contingency, but they're really good numbers though. So, you mentioned like 1,500. Do you have like an income figure goal that you're trying to get to with your HMO model?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to get towards. I'm hoping by the end of the year I can get to. I would say 10K, like net. And then 10K. I'll say 10K net. I should blame that. I'm hoping I'm going to be at 10K net by December this year. In fact. So, and then I'm gonna still top up that money. So I've got other things that are going on in the background as well. But through the HMO portfolio itself, 10K net, like worst case.
Yeah, that's good, because then that means. And how long have you been in property since your first deal?
It hasn't been long. Like, everyone seems to think I've been like doing. So don't get me wrong. So I've been learning about property. I started learning February 2017. Is when I kind of my first ever like free seminar, reading books, that kind of stuff. But it was, for me, it's like, because I invested so much into my education. I spent about almost 25 grand on this course. So I kind of used all my capital that I'd saved up. I was actually going to use that to buy a house, my own residential home. So I had to resave the money, and that kind of said, okay, that took me start saving back a year. And then I had this mindset of, I've just got a house. Let me just get used to like the bills. Because again, another thing as well, when you buy a house, your home, furnishing the house, nobody ever talks about that. So that's an additional 10, 15 grand on top of just the deposit money to actually get the keys to the house. So it sets you back quite a bit. And I was in this mindset of, I've only just got a home. Let me just get settled in a bit. So my first offer was accepted somewhere like October 2019. Then the sale completed in February. So February 20. Then from there, it's like I've just spiraled in terms of like the projects. That's where I'm at. Yes.
But that's good. I mean, even when we spoke, like, and you said sort of at the beginning, you said best case scenario, like in your existing job, or your previous job as a project manager at Range Rover and Jaguar, you'd be sort of looking 5 years plus experience, and probably a lot longer to get to six figures. So if you manage to achieve that, in a lot short, way less than half of that time, Chris, that's very commendable for you, sir. Good to see that. You have that value. So is there going to be some sort of 6-figure, like 10K party that we can attend? When you reach that milestone.
For me, I don't know. I'm not one to. I need to get better at this.
We've spoken about this in the past.
I know we have. I kind of, because I hate targets and I move on to the next thing. Like, I've got big aspirations. So for me, like 10K is like nothing, to be honest. Obviously, it could be something to someone else, but I'm not gonna like. I was thinking, I'll be happy that obviously I've done it, but it's like I'm already looking at the next thing. Do you know what I mean?
Which is good, but I would say I saw this thing recently. It was I think the guy Steven, the guy youngest ever, the dragon in Dragon's Den.
Steve Barnett.
I think it's Stephen Barnett. Yeah, but he was talking about his interesting tweet, and it was like a discussion point. It was saying, although this generation is like really good with being entrepreneurial and working really hard and grafting, is that because of so much almost self, like isolating workloads, and like a lot of people being self-employed, there's the potential. Bartlett, much appreciated, Steve Bartlett.
Bartlett, thanks.
So it was a tweet talking about, because that everybody is working in isolation and independent. What that means is potentially we could be almost the most overworked and not depressed, but have a lot of potential mental health issues. So I do think that is really important. As much as we want to achieve everything, And with the exposure of Instagram and social media, that everybody's always looking at bigger and better things, I think to embrace the mini wins is one way of kind of protecting your mental health as well, to make sure that you actually say, like, pat yourself on the back every now and again and say, do you know what? I've done something here. Because if you're always thinking about the next step, next step, next step, you will, like, you could never actually embrace the fact that you're doing well. But it's just, again, it's different strokes for different folks. But obviously we're here to discuss. And I fully get that, you know, the mindset of, look, I just want everything is great. And it's very, 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 you know what I mean, commendable. But I think just from a brother to a brother, I would say just pat yourself on the back, because you're doing amazing things.
Yeah, no, I try, like I said, it's something I'm conscious about. Like, so I do try and take time out to, you know what, I've got somewhere, let's celebrate. But yeah, there probably will be some sort of celebration. I don't know, who knows?
No, he just doesn't want. No, he just doesn't want us to invite us to the party. He's gonna have one. He doesn't want to invite the Property by Kazi followers, but it's cool. We'll do something else. Random tangent. What's your background?
In terms of what, like country?
Ethnicity? Yeah.
Yeah, Ghana.
Ghana. Do you not feel like bank holidays, as much as I'm, you know, a serious African man, I feel like bank holidays, we just still need to embrace the bashment and the soca. It's just something about a bank holiday that the Caribbean's just still running.
I mean, you've been to many carnivals, bro. You've been to many carnivals.
No, bro, I digress. But no, genuinely, like I said, we have conversations, and Alfred's someone that I will just pick the phone up to and call, and there'll be no purpose of the conversation, but it'll be just a case of two people that are both maybe really busy and have a lot of similar problems, similar successes, and sometimes it's good just to talk to somebody like-minded just to get things off your chest. I think one thing you touched on actually that I think I do want to talk about, because a lot of people ask, and one of the most common questions I get asked, and I'm sure you yourself, is, you know, I'm this age, how do I start in property? It's a very vague question, but you touched on the fact that you invested 25,000 in your property education. Could you just touch on what that looked like for you, and how you think that didn't benefit you?
Yeah, so obviously I went on this seminar thing, 2-hour free seminar. I went and I paid 1K to on this 3-day seminar thing to kind of get a bit, they call it more, not advanced, like a basic training. And I just liked what I heard. And I'm someone, like, if I'm very logical, because I'm an engineer from background. My background is, I'm very, like, it has to make sense. I need to be able to make sense of it. So it was obviously still a big decision at the time, because literally I was emptying my bank account at the time to pay for this course. But it was like, I kind of thought to myself as well, I'm going to spend this money some way, somehow in my lifetime, whether it's through holidays, me going to clubs. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to spend that money. So it's like, why not pull that money forward, spend the money today to allow you to make more money? So it's like, even if it didn't make me money, I'm going to make that money back through work or through other means. I'm going to make 25 grand, like, in grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of money. So it was like, it was a no-brainer to me. I kind of saw it as well, compared to my university degree. Like, look, you spend 25 grand, got a good salary job, let's go again, spend the same amount of money as like another degree. Let's see where that brings you. And I was confident before even obviously put the money down, like, I would go away and make more from it. And I did. So,
and your course, would you tell people the course you did? Like,
yeah. So it's, caveat.
No, you're not selling it, but no, yeah, everything is here.
Yeah.
Not selling the course.
They're called, at the time they were called Elite Legacy. They're now called Asset Academy. But at the time as well, I think there's only Progressive and Asset Academy. But even at that time, I didn't go around looking to say, oh, let me compare other courses, or let me go read reviews. I just literally, I heard something, I liked it, it resonated with me, and I was 100 miles per hour. Let's go, let's do this. So I didn't compare, I didn't do any of that. I didn't do any checks, done nothing. Because at the end of the day, I knew I was going to take action. I had a self-belief. So I think it has to start with you. If you have any doubt in your mind that this isn't going to work, or is this really true, then I would say don't do it. But with anybody, a mentor, anybody, anything I've ever done, literally, it's just been like, I've resonated with the thing so much. And I'm like, yeah, what is it? How much is it? I'm in. Let's do it. So it's always internal before you do anything external.
Yeah, I think because courses in property education are a very, like, there's a lot of differing opinion when it comes to property courses. A lot of people, you know, really that have really good experiences, and off the back of a course like somebody like yourself, have made a lot of money and you know turned around a lot of success off the back of a course, and a lot of people have had an experience where they think they didn't get value for money. A lot of people have done loads of education, a lot of people have done little. But I think with anything, it's a case of what's right for you. There's no like one size fits all. And if you go and do this course, you're guaranteed to make money. In the same way that
Exactly.
we could all be on the same university course. We could all be spending 9K a year for that university course. But some people are going to come out and get an amazing job, and some people aren't. And that's not because the course was bad or it's just that maybe it wasn't right for them. Some people need a different route. Because I think somebody even in the comments said that they think like, by the way, we're not selling the course, just for a bit of context. It's not a course that we're selling or a course that we're advising anybody to do.
I
We're
wish I
just
could charge
talking.
25 grand.
Yeah, we're just talking about the journey itself. But like in any situation, again, I'm actually not a massive advocate, and me and Alfred will have a difference of opinion on this. I'm not a massive advocate of a lot of the courses, but what I would say to to sort of to say the other side is, if we take Alfred's experience, somebody would say 25. Like I think 3 people responded with 25K for a course. What a waste of money! But you're saying this to the person that now has or is about to have a 10K salary per month based on the success that course delivered. So if you look at that return on investment is going to be in the thousands of percent.
Bro,
So
I'll tell you one thing, sorry to cut you off here. That course, I learned something creative finance. The whole principle of borrowing money cheaply. I made the money back in year 1. That's how I went and did the event business. I knew I got network people with money. I can go borrow 10 grand off 1% a month and go make 10% a month. Just put it out there. Like, so for me, like the money got made back. So I didn't even, and the joke about it, the money didn't even come through property to start with. It came through events. And then I was like, okay, long-term wealth, do you know what I mean? Build something for yourself, recurring income every month. Then I started to put into property. But I think just don't look at the number. Listen, I think people fixate on the number 25 grand. Like I said, grand scheme of things, 25 grand is very like, it's a drop in the ocean. So it's about what can you get, like what you're alluding to, like in terms of return on investment. What is that going to add to you to be able to allow you to level yourself up to go and make more money? And if you feel like that's what's going to cost to get into the room or to learn to have the knowledge, then do it. But obviously, like I said, I've known people that spend even more money than me on courses and are not where I am. So it's up to each individual and how you want to utilize the information you're learning. Because again, the information is worth nothing if you don't use it.
And I think, again, because I just like, for me, I don't ever get offended by anything anybody says. Like someone could say, oh, like you're stupid for that. Because people tell me, oh, I'm not, how I have done 0 courses. I've never done a course. I'd never went to a networking event. I'd never did a seminar. I'd never like even really picked up a book. Like when I started, I just knew that I knew people. I knew how to project manage and I knew numbers. That was my thing. But the reality of it is that not everybody learns the same and not everybody actions the same. And so, for example, there's loads of different things that for that 25K course to somebody else, they made the exact same course down the road that was 2,500, but you may not network with the same people. You may not, it may not be delivered the same. It may just not work for you. There's also a case of, for some people, when they know they've spent money, that gives them a level of accountability in themselves that says, you know what, I need to make this money back. So it's almost like the fear factor of spending money. The other side, though, for me, is that I think somebody touched on the fact that we live in the information age. There is so much free information out there, whether it's Google, YouTube, Clubhouse, Facebook groups, etc. You can find so much of this information out there. However, like from me just engaging with people, there is a million fake gurus. There's 1,000 experts that have never done it. There's loads of armchair property developers that will be, giving you these free courses, but actually don't have the information. They're just trying to build up a portfolio to make money and sell courses. So it's a balance, but like with anything you do, you just need to look at your return on investment and what works for you. Because what I would say is, yes, you can find all the information on Google. However, you can also find all the disinformation and the incorrect information on Google. And to be able to have it in a concise place, like a course, or whether or not it's a 25K course, whether or not it's a £500 e-learning guide, I think there is an element of your own learning you need to do. So for example, if you take yourself, you went out, studied like, you know, in different areas prior to taking on those courses. So you kind of knew from a project management element how you could deliver in X places, but you had a very specific niche that you needed to fulfill your gap in the property space. So you're already, even though you hadn't done all the free research, you'd already
Yeah.
maybe filled up 90% of what you needed to deliver. And it was that final 10% that was going to get you to 100 and be ready to go.
Yeah.
I think courses are always so contentious. Like they're interesting. Like we could probably have a conversation just on courses because some people, but it's like, I think so, because I read the comments sometimes. Like,
Yeah, no, I'm literally flicking through as well.
yeah, and it's interesting because the reason I say I read the comments is because the literal thing is like you'll have somebody will highlight an example of like what's the Virgin CEO called? Richard Branson.
Richard
They'd be like,
Branson.
oh, he's dyslexic. He never went to school. He became almost a millionaire or slash billionaire and didn't do any of that stuff. But then that's still like a 1 in 99% example, for example. And it's just, it doesn't mean it's not possible. And if somebody says like myself that I say, oh, I managed to do X, Y, or Z without doing a course, that's great. But I also know 100 people that look at me and they think you're very lucky that you didn't make all of these mistakes because you didn't have this knowledge bank at the beginning. So I would say it's a balance. You have to do what works for you. There's not going to be a go-to, like a course isn't, and to be honest with you, even if you've got loads of money, a course isn't going to make you a good property developer. Even if you've got loads of time, reading a good book isn't going to make you a good property developer. You know, that you have to, it's just that you have to find what works for you.
Yeah, and I think as well, like a course, you can't just like, so I don't think there's any course, I don't know, from my experience, there's no courses out there that kind of, like you're just going to do the course and you're going to be the best or be this property developer. I think it's a gradual build up of information. So you learn something, even if you like doing it yourself through YouTube, Google, whatever, or courses here and there, you're still trying to fact find to build information as you go along your journey, because you'll come across something. Like you're not going to know to ask a certain question because you haven't come across it before. Does that make sense? And a course isn't going to cover every single element of the development. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just not. So your network becomes the next bit you have to leverage the most. And I think with the courses, the good thing is, yeah, you're already tapping into a potential network from that property education company. So that's the real plus side. The information is there, yeah, and classroom taught. Get it there. You haven't got to go fact find yourself. It's there, but it's still not enough to get you to kind of go and do it, and everything is sorted. Every single question has been answered. No, your network is then the bit that fills in the gaps. That you come across when you actually go on the journey itself.
Yeah, because I think, and the misconception, and I think people do put out like things that are incorrect. So, Yinka Bali, you just said you learn more from doing your own research than you're paying for a course. That's possible, but that's it's an incorrect statement to say you will learn. You could learn, but it's also property is capital intensive. All you need is some money and good credit. Again, that's so incorrect, because if all you needed was money and good credit, there'd be like loads of people that for example come from a working life, have money and good credit, and are amazing property developers, but they aren't. They're maybe the same people that are reaching out saying, can I mentor them or can I talk to them? Because it's not all you need. That's the reality of it. If that was all you needed, then there wouldn't be really even any need for a discussion like this, because you wouldn't have to speak to people and network with people and learn about property. You would just need money and good credit. Like for myself, like just to kind of give an example, I said I've never done a course. However, next year, I'm going to go and do my master's in property development. Now, I'm not trying to get a job anywhere. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to start working.
I did want to pull you up on this one though, bro. Like, what makes you want to go into do this course?
Do you know why?
I need to explain this.
So do you know what? Yeah, let me even show you what I'm reading now. So it's like, you see the academic books in property. I don't know. I think we've spoken about this one. So this one here.
Okay, property. Yeah, okay, property. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, by Law Society, and then this one here. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's something I could do in my spare time. I do it over like the course of a year or 2 years, like 1 day a week. But it's like the grounding of the course. Like, so a lot of the modules are about very specific niches that I would go into in the long term. So like, and it's just stuff that, you know, like stuff that I know is going to save me from making mistakes, like knowing it like more inside and out. So dealing with, for example, like affordable housing stuff. Like I can go and read like a chapter in this book that's on affordable housing, but I just feel like, particularly when I'm some of the stuff that we're planning for the long term, like being effectively like accredited, being more comfortable in my own kind of knowledge base and skill set would allow me to achieve bigger and better things. So again, it's not something that I need.
One question: what is it going to cost you to acquire that information?
That information, what is it going to cost me to acquire?
Yeah, the degree.
The degree.
10 grand, let's say.
No, a bit more. I think.
All right. The point here is why not? I don't know. Shadow a developer and kind of go through a development with that developer over a year.
Which is an amazing question, because I know the way I learn. Like, so, you know, in terms of, you know what you need, like so that's why I gave the example that I could do that. I've now networked. I can meet people. I think we've got Anthony Laville on next week, who's doing, you know, massive, like sort of 8, potentially 9-figure projects. And I could network with him and say, okay, but it's like that I know isn't the way I learn. So I think a lot of the time in this property education space, you have to know what works for you.
Yeah.
And if you can learn really well off YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that, then why not? Like literally there's not a reason not to, but you just have to know what works for you.
100%.
I do want to go back. So I know we spoke about, so your first deal, you said you purchased for 220?
225.
225, a revaluation of 360.
Yeah.
How did you find that? Like, did you make any mistakes on that first being your first project?
So like things, so what I think little things like where you want to learn through a course. So like, for example, soccer locations and layouts, I thought was very logical. So we've got a floor plan, we know where the beds, the furniture, the rooms and stuff are going. Given the floor plans over to the build team, this team has obviously outsourced the electrical work to electrician. The electrician just kind of, I think he just told the electrician put 4 sockets per room. Hasn't really said, or the electrician hasn't really seen the locations of the beds and like the floor plan basically. So they've just put the sockets wherever they want. So I've now come on site like, why is this socket behind a wardrobe? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, based on the floor plan I've shared with this team, our project manager basically. And so things like that, like you overlook it and just assume that, because again, I'm not someone that's going to be on site every single day managing the trades. I'm working with a construction company, leveraging the team. They're the team that are going to go and deliver. I just need to be very, very clear on what exactly I want them to deliver. And I feel like I hadn't stated certain things to be very precise. And that's a big lesson. I think when you're leveraging things, yes, you want to kind of give the onus on the team to kind of deliver it, but again, it's got to be very, very clear. No room for like, what's the word?
Just like margin for error.
Yeah.
Have you started to use construction drawings at all?
Yeah, I've always when you say construction drawings, I'm referring to floor plans.
Yeah, no. So you have your drawings for planning, like, so just the main ones just to get whatever planning you require.
Yeah.
Then you have your structural drawings for like your steels and like for building control, like your building control. And then like construction drawings, which would, like you said, like they would actually outline like locations of sockets, radiators, how stuff's going to be built, for example.
I've always stuck to the
because they're quite expensive to be fair. Like, and
I never bother going. So literally, what would happen is
I don't either. Just that's why I just wondered just off the back of that.
I don't either. Once the rip out happens, literally go wall by room. We mark up everything, sockets, dimensions, measure every single thing. Obviously, I don't need to measure it, but the guys know the bed sizes, the length, what's going where. So if we're saying spotlights, I'm not going to tell him we'll take maybe 6 spotlights in this room, and then they'll work out how to make it symmetrical. Radiator usually next to a window, sockets by the beds, dimmable switches or switch by the bed. They know the length, so they can kind of measure up, put a socket next to the bed. So all those things are kind of, we go around room by room and do it. And then similarly, the kitchen design, once the kitchen's in, we know where the sockets are going, because again, we'll get whoever's designed the kitchen to design it, and then we know where the sockets are going to be within that kitchen facility. So it's just kind of how I do it.
if that was like one of your biggest mistakes, having a socket behind a wardrobe, that's not too bad for
No,
first
nothing.
year.
Yeah, I haven't had anything drastic.
Okay.
Just nothing like major where like cost me like crazy to
And
fix. No.
and and your refurb cost, did you think you estimated that? I mean, was 80K your initial budget, or
It was
where were
actually
you?
90K was the original budget. So we
Oh,
actually came in
okay.
under. This is the only project coming under, by the way, as well. Just simply because this project was a project that we didn't 100%. We tried to. I guess we want to say save some money in some places. Like we didn't go back to brick on every single wall. There were certain areas we thought the condition of the wall was fine, not to replaster it or take off the plaster and replaster the walls and board it up again. But yeah, we end up on 88K on the refurb. So yeah, this is the only one I've come under.
Comes slightly under budget. That's nice. And then, so to date, how many have you done now?
Four.
Nice.
One amendment.
And you've got two more in the pipeline. Is that right?
Yeah, I've got two more going through planning at the moment. Literally submitted the parking survey today from architects, submit to the council, so fingers crossed. I'm hoping to, yeah. One of them is quite a creative one. It's like a key undertaking. So we're going to exchange contracts. I'm not using a bridge on that one. The guy owns the house for cash. So literally the plan is, the minute I get planning, tenants get taken out, and then I can start the works. Don't need to spend money on the or getting a bridge or whatever. I'd spend the money up front to do the refurb. Obviously, we exchange contracts is legally binding in terms of being able to buy the property, him being able to sell it as well. And then on the refinance, I would then buy the property and refinance at the same time.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No. So yeah.
I'm saving a lot of money on that one for sure. So that would be a good deal for sure.
That's good. That wasn't the one we discussed that had the basement that you were talking about putting a gym in.
Oh no, that's another one.
Okay,
So
is that still going ahead?
Yeah. So that's maybe 8 studios is the plan. So I don't know if I told you what the end plan was, but it's 8 studios. The basement area is still kind of dead space, but we call it a gym and a washing facility at the moment. But at the moment,
extra communal space. You can have a. I saw someone. I think I had a client. I was PMing his stuff, and he did it was a 13-bed HMO, and they had a gym, but it just ended up becoming like where everyone left their suitcases. It didn't really. So even to potentially, to be fair, one thing maybe you can consider is just doing like mini rental storage units inside there, because everybody needs storage, and storage is a premium. People are paying £150 to rent a garage a month. So
that's not bad. That's not a bad shout whatsoever. Yeah, that's not a bad shout.
Come on, 10%.
I'll take that one.
Yeah, you had it in first. Yeah, but yeah, I think that could work. But that's good. That's good. So I know obviously you've spoken a lot, but if we stick like within the property space, what are your next kind of sort of 2-3 year goals?
I want to raise a good chunk. We've spoken about this already, but I guess the audience. So for me, I've done more in terms of raising finance at the moment. Now I kind of want to scale it up to kind of raise £1 million, £2 million from one individual. So for me, now I'm building a foundation to allow me to go away to be able to network with people, spend some time building relationships, to be able to take that money or get them to trust me with their money to go and make more money with that money. So I do want to get into large developments. So whereby I would find a developer, even yourself, Kaz, if you said like you wanted to do a scheme, go big with it. Obviously, it needs a big project. But if you had a big project and you said you needed £1 million, £2 million, I would want to be that guy that says, okay, I've got the money. Let's do this deal. Whether it's a JV or it will be a JV, and we did a project together. We either sell the units or retain the units. If the investor who's lending the money wants to be part of the deal, then they'll be part of the deal as a 3-way split, or just be myself and yourself in that deal, and then they get paid a return if that's what they want. But that's where I want to kind of get to. But go like do high rises. I don't really want to do. I haven't to this day. I haven't really thought about doing any like luxury homes or stuff like that. More apartments, going up as high as possible. And doing just big projects with the major cities. That's what my 2022 onwards, I want to kind of focus my energy on that. I'll still do HMOs in the background, I think, but I don't want to kind of create a massive portfolio of HMOs. I don't think they're hard to maintain. I think buy-to-lets are your traditional. They're the best model you can have. Obviously, I want to try.
Do you know what I love? I think you would like as well. Obviously, like not now, but maybe like after you start smashing your towers and you've got like you want to invest. Commercial units. just because they're good yields,
Good
and
yields.
you don't have to do anything. It's just once you hand the keys over, that's your
Business
problem
to
for 5,
business.
10 years. Yeah.
Best. Literally the most. Put it at point. It's probably the point where you can kind of say property's passive. To an extent, it's getting
Yeah.
as well. But
If you own commercial property, you can say you're a passive landlord. Like,
yeah,
oh, you build an
10-year lease.
insurance. Here's your
Find a good
percentage.
company like Tesco, Sainsbury's, like these commercials they're doing. They're going to have it for 10 years. Pay you on time. Credible companies. Business to business. Let's game changer for sure.
That's good. Let me go through a couple. I actually ignored a couple of the questions. SAS, no, Alpha's not done rent to rent. This question. Do you guys take on investors, and what's the minimum amount you take from Carlos?
Yeah, I do. I'm always raising money. Cass knows I'm always posting about raising money. So yeah, if you've got funds available, not really utilizing the funds, you want to get a return, feel free to message me. But I do have one caveat. I feel like you need to be in a position to be able to lend the money. In my case, I'm mainly borrowing money as like working capital. It's not necessarily specific for the deal because I've got quite a pipeline of projects. Even if I told you that one deal that I'm using the money to, using the money for, the chances are I'm going to refinance the project. Not even chances are I'm going to refinance the project, and it's going to go into the next deal, and then it's going to go into the next deal after that. So it's more of a short, long term, whichever way you want to look at it, investment with me and get a fixed return on that money. But definitely, in terms of minimum, I always try and say 20. I think 20K at the least, but it just depends. About 20K is what I'd say is the minimum I would consider.
Okay. So you guys heard that? You guys can reach out to Mr. Alfred. Okay, that's a good question. It wasn't pinned, but as a successful businessman, how do you manage to stay motivated?
I find this question so hard to answer. Everyone says, "How do you stay motivated?" I think I'm pinning myself against certain things I want to achieve in life, and I'm always referring back to those things. So whenever I feel like demotivated, I'm kind of referring back to what is it I'm doing this for. I want to be able to support my parents. I wanted to be able to build a legacy. I want to have my family to be comfortable, and that can only come through me having access to funds and being able to support them through that medium. So it's always I'm always thinking about that thing. Why am I doing this?
Can I help you with your answer? Because I feel like that's a good answer, but I feel like when I see you anyway, and from what I see, I feel like structure is how you stay motivated quite well. Because I've seen you've been part of like the 5 a.m. club. I've seen you go to the gym early mornings. I've seen, you have quite a specific regimented structure in the way you do things. And that creates accountability and creates trends within yourself and creates patterns, which if you now don't go to the gym or don't work today, you feel unusual because it's become
I swear to God. Literally, bro, literally, like, if I don't go gym in the morning, I've associated going to gym in the morning to having a good day. If I don't go gym in the morning, my day isn't set right. Like it feels weird. But yeah, it's definitely true. The structure is very, very important.
Because it's like, I don't know, it's some smart like psychologist or something. I can't remember who it is, but had the idea that basically, if you're trying to start a new habit, you like match it with another habit. So let's say, for example, you said, okay, I find it really hard to read and I want to start reading this book regularly, but I'm not good at it. What you would do is, if you go to the gym every morning, you would make it something where you say, okay, before I go to the gym, I read the book. So it's almost like you can't do one without the other. I know people that do it with like, they sandwich it between two things. They say, okay, I shower, I do my 50 press ups, then I brush my teeth. And it's like, so they make sure they do the press ups between two things that are already a habit to just blend it in with your current lifestyle.
Yeah, that's a good one.
For those that aren't, if you're trying to pick up a new habit, whether it is like learning in the property space, whether it's, wherever it may be, potentially trying to like sandwich it with something that's existing already could be a good way to achieve that. I think this is a good question for you, just because, and that's a question that comes up a lot, but do you have any tips on finding good builders in an area, for example, maybe where you're not located? But I just think finding builders in general.
So I personally have never worked with individual trades. So like electrician, plasterers. I work with a construction company, so like someone, a head builder.
You luxury man, you're so smooth.
I'm skill. Like you can't skill or you can, but you're going to be working a lot harder. Yeah. I think for me, I'm so grateful for the work, my corporate days in terms of being a project manager. Literally, I was working on an engine program. We had 300 engineers, and they all had their little teams, where it's boosting, and like there's so many different areas, and you have to interact with every single person. And it's like you can't do everybody's job and try and make everybody in sync. So there's always some sort of head within the team that kind of deals with everybody. So I'm liaising with the one person from each team. And the similar principle with the build guys. I want to talk to one person. I don't want to talk to an electrician, plasterer, carpet guy, gas. Mate, I'll be losing my mind if I'm trying to get them all come in at the same time, or make sure one's done their work before the next one comes in. One person's dealing with everything, and that's their problem. So if one's late or they haven't come on site, I'm not calling an electrician and saying, "Why are you not on site today?" So the way I found a good construction company is I have gone to site and seen a project, done the finished project, and also seen one within middle of works to kind of see the standard of work as well. Because again, there's so many ways of building or renovating a house or building a house or whatever, converting a house, and you just want to see how they do certain things. And certain things might not resonate with you. Like, I don't want to work with this person because they do this a certain way. So going physically on site, never trust a video, never trust pictures. Anybody can take a good corner of a property to make it look the best and show like this is their work, or even, for example, get someone else's work and say it's theirs. So try and physically go and see their work in person. And if you like what you see, I would assume they're good from there, basically, from the quality and standard they're producing.
Yeah, and I think and talk to their client as well. Make sure they're happy.
Yeah, if you can talk to the clients as well. But you apply the same principle with the individual trades. Go and see their work, but just be careful as well. I think even with a construction company, some of them do outsource the work. So get very clear on what is it that you do in-house and what are you outsourcing. Because if it's like electrical work, gas work, they're usually outsourced because the certificates they have to have at the end. But in terms of plastering, if that's within in-house, then you're good. You know that's been the same standard from house to house. Whereas if they're having to hire a new plasterer, it might vary. So you might have seen a good plastering work done. It doesn't mean the guy they're going to hire on this project, or it might be the same guy because he might be busy.
Yeah,
so
that's very
if you're working with construction companies, understand what is that construction company reliable for and what are they outsourcing, so you know what to look out for in terms of quality and the variation that could be possible within that.
Okay, yeah, that's very good. But to be fair, I've not actually, although I knew that, I've never actually said that as an advice point to actually make sure, because there's a lot of construction companies that are more just project managers that you've built good relationships with loads of different trades. So if you've seen a good team, and a lot of construction companies have multiple teams of builders and I'm working on multiple sites. So if you've seen a team that you like, you need to kind of pitch that's who I want and double check who's actually going to be doing my job. I think this is the last question because it's quite interesting. DD Capital has said, any tips on navigating a hot market? Ooh, that sounds like oh, you got a direct to vendor?
Yeah, man. Like this year, I haven't secured anything on market. I'm not saying it's impossible. I think so. Okay, this is two tips. Have cash. When you have money, you can be a big bully in the market. And reason being, I lost out on a deal. I was willing to pay more, but I said, look, I'll pay you more, but I need you to wait longer. Someone came in and said, I'll pay you less, but I can give you the money in 3 weeks' time. And guess what? The guy was like, I want the money now. Why am I waiting 3 months to kind of make more money? I just want to let go of this property now and be done with it. So having cash, being cash rich, you can literally just steal deals just for the fact you've got cash in the bank. The money's there, you can close very quickly.
I was going to say, just to make that more accessible potentially, if you don't have the cash, you could still replicate that by being very clear in what you can deliver. So if you're going to offer and saying, I don't have a chain, here's my proof of funds for my deposit, here's my mortgage offer, I'm happy to, tie into an 8 weeks, completion. And I'll give you a non-refundable deposit of 3K, just so you know I'm serious, for example. But make sure you position yourself where people know that, okay, this person knows what they're doing, they're not going to change their mind, they're not going to, try and renege on me, they want this deal.
Yeah, and then the second point, being direct to vendor, again, because it's not on the market, there's no competition, you can kind of negotiate a bit better. But it depends on the person as well. If the person's quite clued on, it's like, well, I could put it on the market and get more. So you have to be, again, I think position is that's probably the key point. How you position yourself to the person you're trying to buy from. Because if they see like you're credible, can deliver, they're likely to do the job with you, or they like you, or you've got a rapport with them, then they're likely to do the deal. Like the house, the eight studios, they've got an offer, but they're selling it to me because they like me being young, being driven. They've seen our previous projects. I showcased them like this one I've just recently finished. They liked it. Like, you know what, I like what you're doing. I see you're young. You're trying to build something for yourself. So I'm keen to sell the property to you. I'll tell that person no, basically. So positioning is very, very important.
Yeah, no. Good answer. I think a good way to end off there. Alfred, what are you selling? What can the people buy from you? Pitch yourself. Where can we find you? What's going on?
I don't mentor. I don't. The only thing.
I've seen it on your story.
No. So, you know what? That was all a marketing stunt. So the mentoring thing, I put a question on my thing. Who's interested in being mentored by me or something like that, something along those lines. But I was more that, and that's what I'm about to say. I'm the only thing you can kind of get off me is a mastermind group. So I have a weekly Tuesday mastermind group. We meet up every Tuesdays on a Zoom call, 8 p.m. It's a monthly charge, being currently £57 a month. So the whole mentoring thing was kind of divert. I know I'm not gonna spend hours of my time mentoring someone because I'm trying to do more things, raise more money, do more deals. So it was more about diversion to say, okay, I'm going to put a crazy price tag on it, take or leave it, and kind of divert you to the cheaper option, which is the mastermind. So that's why I did it. I didn't mentor anybody. The only person I ever mentored is one girl, and the only reason why I mentored her is because she asked me twice, I said no, and she came back. I went to her and said, look, I need 30 grand today. I knew she had like 8 grand around her. I said, I need 30 grand today. I'll give you my time if we can get me the 30 grand today, at 0% interest, and I'll spend every month 2 hours with you. You can come on my sites. I can walk you through my sites. For me, that's a good exchange of value, and that's the reason why I did it. That's the only. Basically, if you give me money, a lump sum of money, I can give you some of my time. But I'm trying to avoid that, to be honest, because I want to do other things.
Okay. So, but I know, but when I said that, it doesn't have to be that. I know you're on the YouTube. Is your YouTube the same as your Instagram?
No, well, you can just search my name, Alfred Jade.
Okay.
But yeah, just type my name.
Yeah, but how do you spell Jade? Because don't say it like it's easy.
DZADEY. But if you follow me on Instagram, just literally a link on my bio, take it straight to my YouTube channel. I showcase all my projects in terms of the refurb stages from start to finish, and then the final showcase as well. I also share some tips as well on there. Anyone interested in raising finance, me and Tej are doing a raising finance 2-hour Zoom call on the 3rd. I think it's a Thursday. 3rd. Go on my Instagram on the bio. There's a link there. I think it's the 3rd of June, 7 p.m. for 2 hours, going through everything in terms of how to get about raising finance, how to get started, how to position yourselves, how to handle objections from investors who are potentially willing to lend money, not having credibility at the start. All those things we'll go through it. So if that's of interest, just to kind of put it out there, it is a paid thing. It's £99 for the session. But if you've got £99 and you feel it's going to be value to you, I think it's a no-brainer, to be honest. I think there'll be mass value given on that. So if you're interested, feel free to join us.
That's good. I think that's it. I think the last question was literally that. So Matthew, sure, you know where to go now to find out about raising capital. I think that is it. Myself and Alfred are going to go enjoy the rest of our bank holiday weekend. Hope everybody's got some good value, that they've enjoyed it. Yeah, if you liked it and enjoyed it, make sure you follow myself, follow Alfred on the socials, Instagram and YouTube, both locked in there. For those that don't want to spend money on courses, there's some free YouTube information out there.
YouTube is your best friend if you don't want to, yeah.
Exactly that. But again, I hope everybody's got some good value. Appreciate you all for logging in. Next week, got an amazing episode on with the man himself, Mr. Big Deals, Anthony Laville. He's doing some amazing projects. I think he's currently doing about 200 plus units. He's going to be on discussing his journey. So make sure you're locked in. Sunday, 6 p.m. Ask Someone Else by Property by Kazi. Much appreciated. Thank you.
No, thanks for having me, bro. Take care.